The champagne glass slips from her fingers. I watch it fall. Slow motion. Crystal catching chandelier light. Then it hits the marble and explodes into 1,000 glittering pieces at my feet. Vivian Ashford Sterling stumbles backward like I've struck her. Her hand flies to her throat. Her face drains of every drop of color until she looks like a corpse standing upright in a $15,000 gown. No, she whispers. The word comes out strangled. It can't be. I'm standing in the foyer of their mansion wearing a $30 dress from a department store clearance rack. My shoes are scuffed. My purse is worn at the corners. I look exactly like what they've believed I am for 15 years, a broke old woman living on scraps and charity. But Vivian's staring at me like I'm a ghost, like I'm death itself walking through her front door. Mom? Marcus appears behind her, confusion creasing his face. My son. 42 years old now, expensive suit, designer watch, hair styled with product that costs more than my monthly grocery budget, at least the budget they think I have. What's wrong? Why did you? Vivian cuts him off. Her voice cracks like thin ice. She's gripping the doorframe so hard her knuckles have gone white. You're Constance Whitmore. The name hangs in the air between us. Marcus blinks. That's Mom's name, yes, Constance. I told you that went by Constance Adelaide Whitmore. Vivian's eyes bore into mine. There's recognition there. And something else. Something that looks an awful lot like terror. Of Whitmore and Associates. My heart slams against my ribs. How does she know that name? I've been so careful. 15 years of being invisible. 15 years of letting everyone believe I'm just another forgotten widow scraping by on Social Security. Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Penny appears in the hallway behind Marcus. My daughter-in-law, beautiful in that cold, manufactured way. Everything about her screams money and status and carefully curated perfection. Mother, what on earth is... She stops when she sees the shattered glass, sees her mother's face. What happened? Marcus. Vivian's voice is barely above a whisper now. She hasn't taken her eyes off me. Did your mother ever tell you what she did before she retired? The question lands like a bomb in the middle of the foyer. Marcus laughs, nervous, uncomfortable. She worked in real estate with Dad. Some small property management company or something. Right, Mom? I don't answer. I can't, because I'm trying to understand how Vivian knows, how she could possibly know. Small, Vivian repeats. She starts to laugh. It's a horrible sound, brittle and sharp and completely unhinged. Small, oh, Marcus, oh, you poor, stupid boy. Excuse me? Marcus's voice goes hard, defensive. Penny moves closer to her mother. Mother, you're not making any sense. You're frightening me. But Vivian's still staring at me, through me, into me. Tell him, she says. Tell your son who you really are. Tell him what you've been hiding all these years. The room tilts. The chandelier above us seems to swing, even though it's perfectly still. I came here tonight expecting to play a role. The poor mother. The pitied elder. I was going to watch them treat me like garbage, confirm what I already knew about who my son had become, and then go home to my quiet life. But this? This wasn't part of any plan. I don't understand what's happening, Marcus says. He looks between us, back and forth. His mother in her cheap dress, his mother-in-law in her designer everything. How do you two know each other? We don't, I say carefully. My voice sounds steady even though my pulse is racing. I've never met your mother-in-law outside of your wedding and a handful of family gatherings. Liar. The word comes out like a slap. Viviana takes a step toward me. Her hands are shaking. You know exactly who I am. You have to. She stops herself, bites down on whatever she was about to say. Vivian, a man's voice cuts through the tension. Richard Ashford Sterling emerges from the dining room, tall, silver-haired, the kind of man who's used to being the most important person in every room he enters. What's all this commotion? Our guest has arrived and you're... He stops when he sees me. His eyes narrow. Ah. Just ah, like my presence confirms something he's been expecting. Richard, she can't be here, Vivian hisses. This ruins everything. We need to. Enough. His voice is quiet but absolute, the kind of voice that's used to being obeyed. He turns to Marcus and Penny with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Why don't you two go check on the children? Make sure they're settled with the nanny upstairs. Your mother and I need a moment with Constance. Dad, what's going on? Penny's voice has gone small, young, like she's a little girl again instead of a 35-year-old woman. Now, Penelope. They go. Marcus throws one last confused look over his shoulder, but he goes. He always goes when people with money and authority tell him to. That's what he's learned in the years since his father died. Obedience to power. The moment they're out of sight, Richard's smile vanishes. Mrs. Whitmore, he says. What an unexpected pleasure. When Marcus mentioned his mother was coming to dinner, we had no idea he meant the Constance Whitmore. The question is, he moves closer, each step deliberate, calculated. Does he know? Does your son have any idea who his mother really is? My mouth goes dry. I thought not. Richard glances at his wife. Well, this is interesting. Very interesting indeed. Vivian's recovered some of her composure. She stopped shaking at least, but there's still something wild in her eyes, something desperate. How long have you been playing this game, Constance? How long have you been pretending to be poor while sitting on... Vivian, Richard's voice cuts her off again. Not here, not like this. He looks at me, really looks at me. You came tonight thinking you were walking into one kind of trap, didn't you? You thought you'd expose your son and his shallow wife, show them who they really are when they think they're dealing with someone beneath them. He's right. That's exactly what I thought. But you've walked into something else entirely, Richard continues. Something we've been building toward for a very long time. And now that you're here, now that we know you're here, well, he smiles. Everything changes. Footsteps on the stairs. Marcus and Penny returning. We'll discuss this over dinner, Richard says quietly. Just to me. All of it. The truth about who you are, the truth about what we want, and the truth about why we've really brought you here tonight. I think you'll find it all very enlightening. Marcus and Penny reappear. The kids are watching a movie, Penny says. She's looking at her parents with barely concealed confusion and fear. Can someone please explain what's happening? Nothing, darling, Vivian says. Her society smile slides back into place like a mask. Just a bit of a shock. Your husband's mother and I have some mutual acquaintances from years ago. Ancient history, nothing to worry about. She turns that smile on me. It's the smile of a predator. Shall we go into dinner, Constance? I'm sure you're hungry, sir. And we have so very much to discuss. I stand in that foyer surrounded by shattered crystal and realize that I've made a terrible miscalculation. This dinner invitation wasn't about my son wanting to reconnect. It wasn't about Penny finally deciding to include me in their lives. This was about something else entirely, and whatever it is, Vivian Ashford Sterling has been planning it for a very long time. I follow them into the dining room on legs that feel disconnected from my body. The table stretches out like something from a movie. Polished mahogany, crystal, china, fresh flowers arranged in the center that probably cost more than what most families spend on groceries in a month. They sit me at one end, not the head of the table, that's reserved for Richard, but not at the far end either, right in the middle. Where everyone can see me, where everyone can watch me. Marcus takes the seat across from me. He's looking at me differently now, like I'm a stranger he's never met before. Mom, he says carefully, what did Vivian mean back there? About Whitmore and Associates? I reach for my water glass. The crystal is heavy in my hand. Your father and I ran a real estate company. You know that. A small one, you said. Property management. Did I say small? I take a sip. The water tastes expensive somehow, filtered through something that removes every impurity. I don't recall using that word. Vivian laughs from her seat at Richard's right hand. Oh, she's good, very good. Tell me, Constance, did you practice this act? The vague elderly woman who can't quite remember the details? Or does it come naturally after so many years of lying? Mother, Penny's voice is sharp. That's incredibly rude. Is it? Viviana's eyes glitter in the candlelight. We'll see about that. A server appears with the first course, some kind of soup. Butternut squash, maybe. I can smell sage and cream. They place it in front of me with practiced silence. I stare down at it and realize I can't eat a single bite. Let me tell you a story, Richard says. He's cutting into his bread with surgical precision. 7 years ago, my firm handled a rather significant acquisition, a commercial real estate portfolio, 47 properties across 3 states. The deal was worth $53 million before taxes and fees. Marcus's spoon stops halfway to his mouth. The company being sold was called Whitmore and Associates, Richard continues, founded in 1978 by Gregory Whitmore and his wife. They'd built it from nothing. One property in what people called the wrong part of town. By the time they sold, they'd created an empire. That's impossible, Marcus says. But his voice wavers. Dad worked in real estate, sure, but we were comfortable. We didn't have millions. We lived in a nice house, but it wasn't because they invested everything back into the business, I say quietly. We lived well below our means. Your father believed in building something that would last, something that could do good. I was the lead attorney on that acquisition, Vivian says. She hasn't touched her soup. I spent 6 months working with the sellers, meetings, paperwork, due diligence. I got to know them quite well. The husband had passed away by then. Cancer. So sad. But the wife, the widow, she was sharp as a tack. Knew every detail of every property, every tenant, every clause in every contract. She leans forward. Her diamonds catch the light and throw tiny rainbows across the tablecloth. That woman's name was Constance Adelaide Whitmore, Vivian says, and she walked away from that deal with $37 million after taxes. The number sits in the air like a living thing. $37 million. Penny makes a sound, something between a gasp and a choke. Her soup spoon clatters against her bowl. Marcus just stares at me. His face has gone completely blank, like his mind is trying to process something that doesn't compute. So, you see, Marcus, Richard says gently, almost kindly. Your mother isn't the struggling retiree you've believed her to be all these years. She's not scraping by on Social Security in that little apartment on Birch Street. She's a wealthy woman. Very wealthy. One of the wealthiest women in the state, actually. No, Marcus shakes his head. That's not, Mom. Tell them they're wrong. Tell them this is some kind of mistake. I meet my son's eyes across the table. I see hope there. Desperate hope that this is all some terrible misunderstanding. And I destroy it. They're not wrong, I say. Everything they've said is true. The hope dies. I watch it drain out of his face like water through cupped hands. I sold the company after your father died, I continue. My voice sounds strange to my own ears, distant, like it's coming from somewhere outside my body. I moved into that apartment and started living on what appeared to be a fixed income, and I never told you the truth. Why? The word comes out broken. Why would you do that? Because I wanted to see who you'd become without my money influencing you. Because I needed to know if you'd love me when I had nothing left to give. Because your father died and you changed, and I had to know if the sweet boy I raised was still in there somewhere. But I don't say any of that. Not yet, not here, not in front of them. That's a conversation for another time, I say instead. No. Marcus stands up so fast his chair scrapes against the floor. It's a conversation for right now. You lied to me. For years. For how long? How long have you been doing this? 15 years, Vivian supplies helpfully. She moved into that apartment in 2010, right after the sale went through. We found it quite curious at the time, a woman with that much money choosing to live like she was barely getting by. I did some investigating. Discovered she'd put most of it into trusts and investments. A foundation, very noble. The way she says noble makes it sound like an insult. Marcus turns to his wife. Did you know about this? Did you? Of course I didn't know. Penny's on her feet now, too. Her face is flushed, angry. I've been feeling sorry for her for 7 years. I seated her with your old pediatrician at our wedding because I thought she couldn't afford appropriate clothes for the main tables. I've been. She stops, covers her mouth with her hand. You've been what? I ask softly. Pitying me? Excluding me? Making sure I knew my place at the bottom of your carefully constructed social hierarchy? That's not fair, Penny says. But she can't meet my eyes. Isn't it? You sent me text messages when my grandchildren were born? Text messages, hours after the fact, with a note about how you didn't want to burden me with babysitting expectations given my situation. My situation. Like poverty was something contagious. If you'd told us the truth, then what? I lean back in my chair. Look at her, really look at her. Then you would have welcomed me with open arms? Then I would have been good enough for your family photos and your holiday celebrations? Then my grandchildren would have known their grandmother? Silence. That's what I thought, I say. Richard clears his throat. As fascinating as this family drama is, we're getting off track, and the point isn't the deception itself. The point is what happens now that everything's out in the open. What do you mean? Marcus asks. He's still standing, still looking like the ground has opened up beneath him. Sit down, son, Richard says. Please, there's more we need to discuss. Marcus sits. Slowly, like an old man. Your mother came here tonight thinking she was conducting a test, Richard continues. Didn't you, Constance? You were going to let us treat you poorly, confirm all your worst suspicions about what your son had become. Then you were going to go home feeling justified in your isolation. He's right again. How is he reading me so easily? But we've been conducting a test too, Richard says. A much longer one. 7 years to be exact. My blood goes cold. 7 years ago, when Marcus first brought Penelope home and mentioned his mother, I didn't think much of it, Vivian says. Constance is a common enough name. Whitmore is less common, but still. It wasn't until Marcus mentioned you'd worked in real estate that I made the connection. And even then, I wasn't sure. Not until I saw you at the engagement party. The way you carried yourself. The look in your eyes when you thought no one was watching. I knew it was you. So you stayed quiet, I say. My voice sounds hollow. You let your daughter marry my son while knowing I had money. Knowing I could be useful to you someday. Not someday, Richard corrects. Tonight. He reaches down beside his chair and pulls up a leather portfolio, opens it, slides papers across the table toward me. These are investment proposals, he says. Opportunities that require significant capital. The kind of capital that a woman with $37 million might have access to. We'd like you to review them. Consider becoming a partner in several ventures we're pursuing. I stare at the papers without touching them. You invited me here to pitch investments? We invited you here because we need you, Vivian says bluntly. The Ashford Sterling fortune isn't what it appears. We've had setbacks, bad deals. The 2008 crisis hit us harder than we let on. We need an infusion of capital, badly. Penny's gone white. Mother, you said, be quiet, Penelope. The mask slips, just for a second. But I see it, the desperation underneath all that polished perfection. They're broke. Or close to it. And they've been planning this for 7 years. The revelation settles over the table like ash after a fire. Everything suddenly makes a horrible kind of sense. The way they've kept me at arm's length but never cut me off completely. The careful balance of exclusion and just enough contact to maintain the connection. The sudden dinner invitation after years of silence. I was never the one testing them. They were grooming me. Marcus, I turn to my son. He's staring at the tablecloth like answers might be written there. Did you know about this? Of course he didn't, Richard says before Marcus can answer. Your son has been as much in the dark as you have. Haven't you, Marcus? Marcus's jaw clenches. You told me you wanted to get to know Mom better. That you felt bad about how distant things had been. That Penny wanted the kids to have a relationship with their grandmother. And all of that is true, Vivian says smoothly. We do want Silas and Cordelia to know their grandmother, their very wealthy grandmother who could provide for their future, for all our futures. This is a family investment, Marcus. a way to bind us all together more closely. By manipulating us, Marcus says. His voice is quiet, but there's something building underneath it, something that might be anger. You used me. You've been using me since. He looks at Penny. Did you know? When you married me, did you know about this plan? Penny's hands are shaking. She's twisting her napkin into knots. I knew we needed to maintain a connection with your mother. I didn't know why. I thought it was just good manners. I swear, Marcus. I didn't know about the money until tonight. I believe her. I can see it in her face. She's as shocked as Marcus is. Maybe more so because she's realizing her entire marriage might have been built on a foundation of lies. This is insane, Marcus says. He's standing again, pacing now. You orchestrated my entire relationship with my mother based on some long con to get her money? Do you hear yourselves? Do you understand how crazy that sounds? It's not crazy, Richard says calmly. It's strategic. Your mother chose to test you by pretending to be poor. We chose to test her by pretending we didn't know she was rich. Both sides were playing a game. We've just won. Nobody's won anything, I say. My hands are flat on the table. Steady. Even though inside I'm screaming. You think I'm going to hand over millions of dollars because you've exposed my secret? You think I care that Marcus knows the truth now? We think you care about your grandchildren, Vivian says. Silas is 7. Cordelia is 5. Lovely children, smart. They ask about you sometimes. Wonder why they never see their grandmother. She pauses. Lets that sink in. We could change that. If you invest with us, if you become part of this family properly, you could see them every week. Be part of their lives. Isn't that what you wanted? Isn't that why you've been playing poor all these years? To find your way back to your son? The manipulation is so transparent, it's almost insulting. Almost, except it's also working. Because she's right. I do want to know my grandchildren. I have wanted that for 7 years. You're using children as leverage, I say flatly. Your own grandchildren. We're offering you something you want, Richard corrects. Access, connection, family. All we're asking in return is a business partnership. It's quite fair when you think about it. Fair, I laugh. It sounds bitter even to my own ears. You've isolated me for 7 years, made me feel like an embarrassment, kept me away from my grandchildren like I was toxic. And now you want to sell me access to my own family? Yes, Vivian says simply, because we can. Because you've been hiding for 15 years and now we know why. You wanted to see if Marcus would love you without your money. Well, here's your answer. She gestures at my son. Look at him, Constance. Really look at him. I do. Marcus is still standing. Still gripping the back of his chair like it's the only thing keeping him upright. And he's looking at me with something that might be betrayal or disgust, or both. He's angry, Vivian continues. He feels manipulated, lied to. He thought his mother was struggling while he lived in luxury. He felt guilty but not guilty enough to actually help. And now he's finding out you were testing him, judging him. Every missed visit, every generic birthday card, every time he felt a tiny pang of conscience and pushed it away, you were watching, taking notes, deciding if he measured up. That's not, I start, but Marcus cuts me off. Isn't it? His voice cracks. Isn't that exactly what you were doing? You were testing me, Mom. You set up this elaborate experiment and I failed. Is that what tonight was supposed to be? Your big reveal? And your chance to show me what a terrible son I've become? You did become terrible, I say. The words come out harder than I intended. You abandoned me, Marcus. Not because I needed money, not because I was actually struggling, but because I wasn't useful to you anymore. Because I didn't fit into your new life with your new wife and your new wealthy family. You chose them over me because they had something to offer, and I didn't. Because you lied to me. I lived modestly. That's not the same as lying. You let me believe you were poor. You let me feel guilty. He stops, runs his hands through his hair. I did feel guilty, Mom. Every time I didn't visit. Every time I sent a card instead of calling. I felt terrible, but I told myself you were fine. You seemed fine. You never asked for help, so I figured you didn't need it. I didn't need your money, I say quietly. I needed your love, your time, your presence. I needed my son to show up, not because he felt obligated, but because he wanted to, and you couldn't even give me that. The words hang between us. True and awful and impossible to take back. Penny's crying now, silent tears running down her carefully made-up face. Richard's watching everything with clinical interest, like we're specimens in a lab. Vivian's smiling. She's actually smiling. This is exactly what we needed, she says. Everything out in the open. All the resentment, all the hurt. Now we can move forward, together, as a family, with clarity about what everyone wants and what everyone's willing to give. I'm not giving you anything, I say. Not even for Silas and Cordelia? Using children as bargaining chips is disgusting. Is it, or is it just honest? Vivian leans forward. You want access to your grandchildren. We control that access. We need capital. You have capital. This is a transaction, Constance. A fair one. We're not asking for a gift. We're offering you a return on investment. The investment is money. The return is family. My stomach turns. But underneath the revulsion, there's something else. A cold clarity spreading through my thoughts like ice across a window. They think they've trapped me. They think they've exposed my secrets and cornered me into compliance. They think I'm a lonely old woman who'll do anything to be part of my family again. They have no idea who they're dealing with. I need to use the restroom, I say. My voice is steady, calm. Before we continue this conversation, I need a moment. Of course, Richard says. Down the hall, second door on the left. I stand. My knees don't shake. My hands don't tremble. I walk out of that dining room with my head high and my shoulders straight, and I don't look back at my son's broken face or my daughter-in-law's tears or Vivian's satisfied smile. Because they're about to learn something important. I didn't survive 15 years of invisibility by being weak. I didn't build a fortune by being naive. And I certainly didn't walk into this mansion unprepared. They think they've been playing me for 7 years, but I've been watching them just as carefully, learning them, understanding them, waiting for the moment when they'd finally show me who they really were. Tonight, they showed me everything, and now it's my turn. The bathroom is all marble and gold fixtures. There's a chandelier hanging over the sink, a chandelier in a bathroom. I lock the door behind me and lean against it for exactly 10 seconds. 10 seconds to let my hands shake. To let my breath come fast and ragged, to let myself feel the full weight of what just happened. Then I pull out my phone. The recording app has been running since I walked through the front door. Everything. Vivian's confession about knowing who I was, Richard's admission about the 7-year plan, their manipulation, their threats, their use of my grandchildren as leverage. All of it captured in perfect digital clarity. I stop the recording, upload it to my attorney's secure server, add a note with instructions about what to do if I don't contact her within 24 hours. Then I open my photos and scroll back 7 years to the week after Marcus announced his engagement. When I started doing research on the Ashford Sterling family, I'd hired investigators. Good ones, expensive ones, the kind who know how to dig deep without leaving traces. The files are all here. Offshore accounts, shell companies, the real state of their finances, the fraud, the embezzlement, the desperate scramble to maintain appearances while everything crumbled underneath. I know everything. I've known for years. I wash my hands, fix my hair, check my reflection in that absurd chandelier-lit mirror. The woman looking back at me isn't the poor victim they think I am. She's someone who's been playing chess while they were playing checkers. I walk back to the dining room. They're all still there. Marcus staring at his untouched food, Penny wiping her eyes with her napkin, Richard and Vivian conferring in low voices. They stop talking when I enter. I've made a decision, I say. I don't sit down. I stand at the foot of the table where they can all see me. I'm not investing in your ventures. I'm not giving you a single dollar. And you're not using my grandchildren as leverage ever again. Vivian's face hardens. Then you won't see them. Simple as that. Actually, I say, it's not that simple. You see, I've been doing some research of my own over the years. I know about the offshore accounts, the shell companies, the money you've been moving around to hide from the IRS. I know about the investors you defrauded, the pension funds you raided, all of it. The color drains from Richard's face. I have documentation, I continue. Dates, transactions, names, everything my investigators could find, and they found quite a lot. It's all backed up in multiple secure locations. And if anything happens to me, if I'm suddenly unreachable, or if there's an accident, or if you try to keep me from my grandchildren, it all goes to the FBI. Silence. Complete and absolute silence. You're bluffing, Vivian says, but her voice wavers. Am I? Do you really want to find out? I pull out my phone, show them the screen. Files and files of documents. Bank records, email transcripts. I've been preparing for this moment for a long time. You're not the only ones who can play the long game. Richard stands slowly. What do you want? Marcus and Penny get divorced, I say. Marcus makes a sound, but I hold up my hand. Not as punishment. As freedom. This marriage was built on lies. You used them both. They deserve a chance to build something real with someone who actually loves them. Mom, Marcus starts. I'm not finished. Penny moves back here or wherever she wants, but she agrees to joint custody of the children. Marcus gets to actually be a father, and I get full, unrestricted visitation rights with my grandchildren. Every weekend if I want. Holidays, birthdays, everything. And if we refuse, Vivian asks, then I make one phone call and federal agents show up at your door tomorrow morning. Your choice. Richard and Vivian look at each other. Some silent communication passes between them. Years of partnership. Decades of building and protecting their empire of lies. There's one more thing, I say. Marcus enters therapy, real therapy. Not a resort spa pretending to be treatment. He works on himself. He figures out who he is when he's not trying to impress people like you. And if, after at least 2 years of real work, he proves to me that he's become someone I recognize again, someone with character and integrity, then maybe we can rebuild our relationship. Maybe. 2 years? Marcus sounds broken. You've spent 15 years becoming someone I don't know, I say softly. 2 years to find your way back seems fair. Penny's crying again, but these tears look different, almost relieved. I want the divorce, she says suddenly. Mother, I'm sorry, but I want out. I've been miserable. I've been pretending for so long I forgot who I even am. Penelope, Vivian starts. No. Penny stands up, faces her mother. No more. Mrs. Whitmore is right. This marriage was a business arrangement. Maybe I didn't know it consciously, but I felt it. I felt like property, like a chess piece. I want my children to have a better example than that. You ungrateful, careful, I say quietly. Remember who's holding all the cards now. Richard puts a hand on his wife's arm. We agree to your terms, all of them. Good, I turn to leave, then I stop. One more thing. The foundation I established in my husband's name, the one that gives away $2 million a year to people who actually need it, it's going to keep operating. And when I die, everything left goes into trusts for Silas and Cordelia. They'll get access when they turn 30, not a day before. And it comes with stipulations. Education, first homes, starting businesses. Nothing frivolous. Nothing wasteful. They're going to learn what I learned and what Marcus forgot. That real wealth isn't measured in bank accounts. It's measured in what you build, what you give, who you help when nobody's watching. I start walking toward the foyer, toward the front door, toward freedom. Mom, wait. Marcus is following me. Please, can we talk? I stop. Turn. Look at my son in his expensive suit with his expensive watch, with his whole expensive life falling apart around him. Not tonight, I say. Tonight you need to sit with what you've learned. About them. About me. About yourself. When you're ready, when you've done the work, call me, really call me, not a text, not an email. Actually call, and we'll see. I'm sorry, he whispers. I'm so sorry, Mom. I know you are. But sorry isn't enough. Not yet. It's a start. But it's not enough. I leave him standing there. I walk out of that mansion into the cool night air, and I don't look back. My phone buzzes. A text from my attorney. Got the files, safe and secure. You okay? I type back. Better than okay? I'm free. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my apartment on Birch Street watching the evening news when my phone rings, not a text, an actual call, Marcus's name on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before I answer. Hello? Hi, Mom. His voice sounds different, quieter, less polished. I know you said to call when I was ready. I think I'm ready. Or at least, I'm ready to start being ready. I smile. Tell me about therapy. And he does. For 45 minutes, he tells me about the real therapist he found. Not someone who treats wealthy clients like they're on vacation. Someone who actually pushes him, challenges him, makes him look at the man he became and ask why. He tells me about moving out of the house he shared with Penny, about the modest apartment he rented, 2 bedrooms so the kids can visit. Nothing fancy, nothing to impress anyone. He tells me about the job he took, not running a company, not managing investments, something real, something that requires actual work. I'm teaching, he says, business classes at the community college. Most of my students are adults going back to school, single parents, people working 2 jobs trying to build something better. They remind me of, his voice catches. They remind me of who Dad was, who you both were before I forgot. My eyes burn. That's good, Marcus. That's really good. The kids ask about you every day, he says. They want to know when they can see Grandma again. I told them soon. I told them I was working on being the kind of dad who deserves to have a mom like you in his life again. This weekend, I say. The words come out before I can stop them. Bring them Saturday afternoon. We'll go to the park. Get ice cream. Nothing fancy, just us. Yeah. Hope floods his voice. Really? Really? After we hang up, I sit in my apartment, my chosen apartment, not my prison, and I think about Gregory, about the business we built, about the values we tried to instill. I think about the choices I made, the 15 years of testing, the patience, the pain. I think about Vivian and Richard, currently under federal investigation for fraud. Their reputation destroyed, their empire crumbling. Penny's living with her aunt in California, going back to school, figuring out who she is when she's not performing for her parents. And I think about Silas and Cordelia, who I'll see this weekend, who will grow up knowing their grandmother, who will learn about character and integrity and kindness, not from mansions and designer clothes, but from quiet moments in modest apartments with women who chose purpose over prestige. The foundation gave away its $2 millionth last week. A scholarship to a single mother studying nursing, a small business grant to a veteran starting a coffee shop, housing assistance to a family 1 paycheck away from homelessness. That's wealth. Real wealth. The kind that lasts. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a photo. Penny sent it, her and the kids at the beach. Silas is holding a sand dollar. Cordelia's laughing. They look happy, free. Thank you, Penny's text says, for everything. For showing me it's never too late to choose differently. I text back, it's never too late. Remember that. Teach them that. Saturday comes. Marcus brings the kids to my apartment. They're shy at first. It's been so long, but then I show them the photo albums from when Marcus was little. Tell them stories about their grandfather, about building something from nothing, about choosing kindness. We go to the park, get ice cream, nothing fancy, everything perfect. Silas asks me why I live in a small apartment instead of a big house like other grandmas. Because big houses don't make you happy, I tell him. People make you happy. Doing good things makes you happy. This apartment is exactly the right size for the life I want to live. He thinks about that. Is that why Dad lives in a small apartment now too? Your dad's learning something very important, I say. He's learning that who you are matters more than what you have. And that's the best lesson anyone can learn. Cordelia asks if she can come back next weekend. Every weekend if you want, I tell her. I'm not going anywhere. Marcus watches us from a bench. I can see tears on his face. But they're good tears, healing tears. When they leave, he hugs me. A real hug. Not the obligatory kind from years ago, a hug that means something. Thank you for not giving up on me, he whispers, even when I gave up on myself. That's what mothers do, I say. We wait, we hope. We fight for our children, even when they can't fight for themselves. Your father and I always knew you were in there somewhere. The real you. You just had to find your way back. I'm still finding it, he admits. Every day, it's hard. The best things usually are. After they're gone, I sit in my apartment as the sun sets through my windows. The same windows I've watched for 15 years. The same simple space I chose when everyone thought I was crazy. I think about the champagne glass shattering on Vivienne's marble floor, about the moment everything broke open, about the trap they thought they'd set and the trap I'd been building for years. I think about justice. Not the loud kind, not revenge, but the quiet kind that comes from patience and preparation and knowing exactly who you are when the world tries to tell you otherwise. They thought they were playing me, using me, manipulating the poor old woman who had nothing. But I had everything. I always had everything. I just chose to carry it quietly. And in the end, that made all the difference. The subpoena arrives on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks after that dinner. I'm drinking coffee in my kitchen when my doorbell rings. Federal Courier. Official seal. The kind of envelope that makes your stomach drop even when you're expecting it. Inside are documents requiring my testimony. Vivian Ashford Sterling and Richard Ashford Sterling versus the United States of America. Wire fraud, tax evasion, securities fraud. The list goes on for 3 pages. My phone rings immediately. Unknown number. I answer anyway. Mrs. Whitmore. Richard's voice. Tight, controlled. I assume you've received the same documents we have. I have. We had an agreement. You said if we met your terms, you wouldn't. I said I wouldn't send the information to the FBI if you kept me from my grandchildren or if something happened to me, I correct him. But you committed federal crimes, Richard. Real ones. I gave the FBI everything they asked for when they came to me 6 weeks ago. They'd already started investigating based on complaints from other victims. I just provided additional evidence. Silence on the other end. Then, you planned this, all of it. No, you planned all of it 7 years ago when you decided to use my son as bait. I just made sure there would be consequences when you finally showed your hand. He hangs up without another word. I sit back down at my kitchen table. My coffee's gone cold, but I drink it anyway. Outside my window, the morning is bright and clear. Beautiful. The kind of day Gregory loved. My attorney calls an hour later. The trial's set for 8 months from now. You'll need to testify. Are you prepared for that? I've been prepared for 15 years, I tell her. Marcus doesn't call about the subpoena. He doesn't need to. He knew it was coming. I told him 6 months ago during one of our weekly dinners what I'd done. What would happen. He'd been quiet for a long time. Then he'd said, "They deserve it. For what they did to Penny, to me, to you." It's not about revenge, I told him. It's about justice. There's a difference. Now, sitting in my apartment with that subpoena on my table, I think about that difference. Revenge is hot, quick, satisfying in the moment, but hollow afterward. Justice is slow, patient. It requires you to believe that truth matters, even when it takes years to surface. I spent 15 years being invisible, watching, learning, waiting for the right moment. This is that moment. My phone buzzes, a text from Penny. She's seen the news. The Ashford Sterling indictment made the financial section of every major newspaper. "Are you okay?" her message asks. I text back, "I'm fine, how are you?" 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again, finally, relieved. Is that terrible? I'm relieved my parents are finally being held accountable? Not terrible, I type. Honest. There's a difference. She sends back a heart emoji, then, "The kids want to know if they can come over this weekend. Silas has a school project about family history. He wants to interview you about Grandpa Gregory." My throat tightens. Of course. Saturday afternoon? Perfect. I set down my phone and look around my apartment. 2 bedrooms. Simple furniture, nothing fancy, nothing designed to impress anyone. This space has been my refuge for 15 years. My place of safety and solitude. The place where I learned who I was when nobody was watching. But it's becoming something else now, something better. It's becoming home again, not just for me, but for my family, the real one, the one built on truth instead of manipulation. Saturday comes. Silas arrives with a notebook and about 100 questions. Cordelia brings pictures she's drawn of what she imagines her grandfather looked like. Marcus hovers in the doorway, uncertain if he's welcome to stay. Come in, I tell him. Your father's story belongs to you too. We spend 3 hours talking about Gregory, about the business we built, about the values he believed in. Silas takes notes in careful handwriting, asks smart questions. He reminds me so much of his grandfather, it hurts in the best way. Grandpa sounds like a hero, Cordelia says when I finish telling them about the time Gregory spent an entire winter helping a tenant family who'd fallen on hard times. He'd waived their rent for 4 months and helped the father find a job. He was, I say. But not because he did big dramatic things, because he did small kind things every single day. That's what real heroes do. Marcus is crying, not hiding it, just letting the tears fall while his children learn about the man he'd almost forgotten. After the kids go play in the other room, Marcus stays at the kitchen table with me. I used to be like Dad, he says quietly. I remember being like him, caring about people, wanting to help. When did I stop? When you started measuring your worth by other people's standards, I tell him. When you let people like the Ashford Sterlings convince you that money and status mattered more than character. How do I get back to who I was? You don't. That person's gone. You can't go backward. I reach across the table, take his hand. But you can become someone new, someone better. You can take the lessons you've learned and build something real. It won't be easy, it'll take years, but it's possible. Will you help me? I already am. When they leave that evening, Silas hugs me tight. Thanks for the interview, Grandma. I'm going to get an A for sure. The grade doesn't matter, I tell him. What matters is that you know where you come from, that you understand the people who came before you, that you carry their values forward. He nods seriously, like he understands. Maybe he does. Alone again in my apartment, I think about the trial coming in 8 months, about testifying, about facing Vivian and Richard in court and telling the truth about everything they did. I'm not afraid. I should be. Testifying against wealthy, powerful people is dangerous, but I've spent too many years being careful, being quiet, being invisible. It's time to be seen. The courtroom is exactly what you'd expect. Wood paneling, high ceilings, the kind of space designed to make you feel small and remind you that justice is bigger than any individual. I'm wearing a navy suit. Simple, professional, nothing flashy. The same style I've worn for 15 years. Vivian sits at the defense table in a designer dress that probably costs more than most people make in a month. Her hair is perfect. Her makeup is flawless. She looks like she's attending a charity gala, not a federal trial. Richard sits beside her in a suit that probably costs as much as a used car. They're both wearing masks of confidence, but I can see the cracks, the tightness around Vivian's eyes, the way Richard's jaw clenches every few minutes. The prosecutor calls me to the stand. I swear to tell the truth. Sit down, face the courtroom. Mrs. Whitmore, the prosecutor begins. Can you explain how you first became aware of the defendant's financial crimes? I take a breath. 7 years ago, when my son became engaged to their daughter, I hired investigators to look into the family size. It's something I do whenever important people enter my life. Due diligence. Vivian's lawyer objects. The judge overrules. I continue. The investigators found irregularities, offshore accounts, shell companies, money moving in ways that didn't make sense unless someone was hiding something. I kept monitoring over the years, gathering evidence, not because I planned to use it, but because I believe in knowing the truth about people. And what changed? They invited me to dinner 3 weeks after I'd been contacted by the FBI as part of their existing investigation. During that dinner, they revealed they knew about my financial status. They attempted to extort me into investing with them by threatening to withhold access to my grandchildren. That's when I realized the evidence I'd gathered wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about protecting other victims. The prosecutor shows documents, bank records, emails, everything my investigators found, everything the FBI corroborated. Vivian's lawyer cross-examines me, tries to paint me as vindictive, a scorned mother-in-law seeking revenge. Isn't it true, Mrs. Whitmore, that you resented the Ashford Sterlings because they excluded you from family events? Yes, I say simply, I did resent that. Any grandmother would. And isn't it true that you hired investigators specifically to find damaging information about them? No, I hired investigators to learn the truth. The information was damaging because their actions were criminal. That's not my fault. That's theirs. You admit you've been conducting surveillance on my clients for 7 years? I admit I've been protecting myself and my family from people I suspected weren't trustworthy. I was right. The lawyer tries different angles, suggests I manipulated my son, suggests I used my wealth to control people, suggests I'm no better than his clients. I stay calm, answer every question truthfully. Don't get defensive, don't get angry, because the truth is simple. They committed crimes. I reported them. Everything else is just noise. After 3 hours, I'm dismissed. I walk out of that courtroom with my head high. Marcus is waiting in the hallway. He drove 2 hours to be here, even though I told him he didn't need to come. You were amazing, he says. Mom, Anas, you were so strong up there. I was just honest. That's what made it amazing. We go to a diner down the street, sit in a booth with cracked vinyl seats, and drink coffee that tastes like it's been sitting on the burner too long. It's perfect. The kids miss you, Marcus says. They want to know when you're coming to visit them instead of them always coming to you. I didn't want to impose. Mom, you're not an imposition. You're their grandmother. My apartment isn't much. 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy. But there's a pull-out couch and you're welcome anytime. Something breaks open in my chest, something that's been locked tight for years. I'd like that, I say. I'd like that very much. We sit in that diner for 2 hours. Talking, really talking. Not about the trial or the past or the mistakes, about now, about the future. About the small, normal things that make up a life. He tells me about his students, about the woman who's 53 and going back to school after her husband left, about the young man who works nights at a warehouse and takes morning classes on 3 hours of sleep, about how teaching them reminds him why education matters, why opportunity matters. I'm proud of you, I tell him. Your father would be proud too. He cries, right there in the diner booth, doesn't try to hide it. I wasted so many years, he says, being someone I'm not, chasing things that don't matter. You didn't waste them, you learned from them. That's different. I reach across the table. You're becoming the man you were meant to be. That's all anyone can do. Keep becoming, keep growing, keep choosing better. When we part ways in the parking lot, he hugs me, long, tight, the kind of hug that says everything words can't. Love you, Mom. Love you too, baby. I drive back to my apartment as the sun sets. The trial will continue for weeks, maybe months. But my part is done. I told the truth. The rest is up to the justice system. My phone rings as I'm pulling into my parking spot. Unknown number again. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Mrs. Whitmore. Penny's voice, shaking. I'm so sorry to bother you. I know it's late, but I didn't know who else to call. What's wrong? My mother, she's been calling, leaving messages, saying terrible things, threatening to... Her voice breaks. I'm scared. I have the kids and I'm scared she's going to do something. Where are you? At my apartment in California. Are your doors locked? Windows secured? Yes. I checked everything twice. Good. Now listen to me. Your mother is desperate and desperate people make threats. But threatening and acting are different things. She's not going to risk making her legal situation worse. She's trying to scare you into silence. How do you know? Because I know women like your mother. They're bullies. And bullies rely on fear. Don't give her that power. Penny's breathing slows. Steadies. Okay, thank you. Call the police. File a report about the threats. It creates a record. Then block her number. She doesn't get access to you anymore. Not until she's paid for what she's done and proven she's changed, if she ever does. Will you... Penny hesitates. Will you tell Marcus? I don't want to worry him, but I think he should know. I'll call him right now. After we hang up, I sit in my car in the parking lot and I feel the weight of it all. The responsibility. The cost of standing up. The price of truth. But I'd pay it again, 1,000 times over. Because some things are worth fighting for: family, justice. The belief that people can change and grow and become better than they were. I call Marcus. Tell him about Penny's call. He's out the door and driving to California within 10 minutes. Then I go inside my apartment, lock the door, make tea, sit by the window, and watch the city lights come on one by one. Tomorrow, I'll keep living, keep being present, keep showing up for the people I love. But tonight, I'm just grateful. Grateful for the truth, grateful for second chances, grateful for the long, slow work of justice finally bearing fruit. The verdict comes on a Thursday morning, 6 months after my testimony. Guilty on all counts. My attorney calls me with the news. Vivian and Richard Ashford Sterling have been convicted of wire fraud, tax evasion, securities fraud, and conspiracy. They're facing 20 years in federal prison. I sit down on my couch and I don't feel victorious. I don't feel vindicated. I just feel tired. There's more, my attorney says. They're being ordered to pay restitution. Millions in restitution to all the victims they defrauded over the years. The pension funds, the investors, everyone. Good, I say. That's good. After I hang up, I call Marcus. He's in class, but he steps out to take my call. It's over, I tell him. They were convicted. He's quiet for a long moment, then, how do you feel? Empty, not in a bad way, just empty. Like I've been carrying something heavy for so long I forgot what it felt like to not carry it. And now it's gone and I don't know what to do with my hands. He laughs softly. Yeah, I get that. Listen, Mom, I need to tell you something. Something I've been working on. Okay. I've been in therapy for almost 2 years now, real therapy. The kind that hurts and helps at the same time. And my therapist thinks I'm ready. Ready to really rebuild our relationship. Not just visits and phone calls, but real connection, real trust. My throat tightens. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to try. I want to be your son again. Not the person I was before I messed everything up, but someone new. Someone who's learned from his mistakes and knows what matters now. I want that too, I whisper. Can we have dinner, just us? Saturday night? I'll be there. Saturday comes and Marcus picks me up at my apartment. We drive to a restaurant I've never heard of, small, local, the kind of place that doesn't take reservations and has handwritten menus. One of my students works here, Marcus explains as we wait for a table. She's a single mom, 2 kids, going to school full-time and working nights. She recommended it. Said the owner gave her flexible hours so she could make it to classes. We get seated in a corner booth, order food that's simple and delicious, spend the first 20 minutes just talking about nothing important. The weather, a movie he saw, a book I'm reading. Then Marcus sets down his fork and looks at me, really looks at me. I need to apologize, he says. Really apologize, not just say sorry. But acknowledge what I did and how it hurt you. Marcus, please, let me say this. He takes a breath. I abandoned you. After Dad died, when you needed me most, I let other people convince me that you weren't important. That status and wealth mattered more than family. I missed years of your life. I kept your grandchildren from you. I made you feel small and worthless and invisible. And I did it because I was weak. Because I wanted to fit in with people who didn't actually care about me. Tears are streaming down his face. He doesn't wipe them away. I can't get those years back, he continues. I can't undo the pain I caused. But I can promise you that I'm different now. I see what matters. I see who you are, not just the money you have, but the person you've always been. Strong, patient, kind. Everything I forgot how to be. You're remembering, I tell him softly. That's what matters. You're remembering and choosing differently. I want to make you proud. I want to be the kind of man Dad was. The kind of man who builds things that last, who helps people, who measures success by how many lives he's touched, not how much money he's made. You're already making me proud, I say. Every day, every choice. Every time you show up for your kids and teach your students and do the hard work of becoming better. That's what pride is, not perfection, progress. We talk for 3 hours. About everything, about nothing, about the future we're building together one small moment at a time. When he drops me off at my apartment, he walks me to my door, waits while I unlock it. Mom, he says, thank you for not giving up on me. For waiting, for believing I could find my way back. That's what love does, I tell him. It waits, it hopes, it never stops believing in second chances. Inside my apartment, I sit in the darkness for a long time. Just sitting, just breathing, just being. 15 years ago, I made a choice to become invisible, to test my son, to see who he'd become without my influence. He failed that test, spectacularly. But tests aren't just about passing or failing. They're about learning, growing, finding out what you're made of when everything else is stripped away. My son learned, he grew, he found his way back to the values his father and I tried to teach him. And I learned too. I learned that patience is its own kind of power, that truth always surfaces eventually, as that the quiet life I chose, the one focused on giving and helping and making a difference nobody sees, that life was worth more than all the Ashford Sterling mansions combined. My phone buzzes. A photo from Penny. She's at the beach again with the kids. They're building sandcastles, laughing. The caption reads, "Teaching them what you taught me." That happiness isn't about what you have. It's about who you are. I smile in the darkness. Tomorrow, I'll wake up in my modest apartment. I'll make coffee in my simple kitchen. I'll go about my day helping people through the foundation and living the quiet, purposeful life I chose. But tonight, I'm just grateful. Grateful for tests that teach us, for failures that transform us, for the long, slow work of justice and redemption. The first anniversary of the verdict falls on a crisp October morning. I'm at the foundation office reviewing scholarship applications when Marcus calls. "Mom, can you come over tonight? The kids want to do something special." "What kind of special?" "You'll see. Just come. 6 o'clock. Don't eat dinner first." I arrive at his apartment at exactly 6. Silas and Cordelia are waiting at the door wearing matching aprons. They've clearly been cooking. "Surprise!" they yell together. "We made Grandpa Gregory's favorite meal." My heart stops. "How did you—" "Dad helped us," Cordelia says proudly. "He remembered some of it and we found the rest in Grandpa's old recipe box that you gave us." They lead me to the table. It's set with mismatched plates and glasses, nothing fancy. But there's a centerpiece they made from construction paper and markers. Pictures of Gregory, pictures of me, pictures of our family spanning generations. The food is slightly burned in places, oversalted in others, absolutely perfect. "Grandpa Gregory used to say that the best meals are the ones made with love," Silas says seriously. "So we put a lot of love in this one." We eat together, all 4 of us. Marcus tells stories about his father. I add details. The kids listen with wide eyes like they're hearing fairy tales. After dinner, Cordelia brings out a poster she made for school. Family values is written across the top in glitter letters. Below that are words: honesty, kindness, courage, patience, forgiveness. "I got an A," she announces, and Mrs. Henderson said our family sounds really special. "We are special," Marcus says. He's looking at me when he says it. "Because we learned what matters." Some people never learn that, but we did. "And it's because of Grandma." "Not because of me," I correct gently. "Because of choices. Everyone in this family has made hard choices. To change, to grow, to choose truth over comfort. That's what makes us special." Later, after the kids are in bed, Marcus and I sit on his small balcony drinking tea. The city lights spread out below us like fallen stars. "Penny's doing really well," Marcus says. "She's finishing her degree. She met someone. A teacher at her school. He's kind to her, patient. Nothing like what her parents modeled." "That's wonderful." "She said to thank you for showing her that it's never too late to start over, to build something real." She showed herself that. I just held up a mirror. Marcus is quiet for a while. Then, "Do you ever regret it? The 15 years, the test, all of it?" "No," I say immediately, not a sigh, not for a second. Those 15 years taught me who I am when nobody's watching. They taught you who you could become. They brought us here, to this moment. Would I have chosen an easier path if I could? Maybe. But I wouldn't trade what we learned. "I'm teaching a class on business ethics next semester," Marcus says. "I'm going to tell them your story, not the money part, the values part. How you and Dad built something that mattered. How you chose purpose over prestige. Is that okay?" "It's more than okay. It's exactly what your father would have wanted." We sit in comfortable silence for a long time. Just being together, says. Just existing in this moment we've fought so hard to reach. My phone buzzes, an email from the foundation. Another family helped. Another life changed. Another ripple spreading out into the world. This is wealth. This moment right here. My son beside me. My grandchildren sleeping peacefully inside. The knowledge that the work Gregory and I started continues. that values endure even when everything else fades. Mom, Marcus says softly, I love you. I don't say it enough, but I do. I love you so much. I love you too, baby. Always have, always will. When I leave that night, Marcus walks me to my car, waits until I'm safely inside, waves as I pull away. I drive home through streets I've known for 15 years, past the modest buildings and simple storefronts, past the lives being lived quietly, purposefully, without fanfare or recognition. This is my city, my life, my choice, and I wouldn't change a single thing. 2 years after the verdict, I'm sitting in my apartment when someone knocks on my door. I'm not expecting anyone. Marcus has the kids this weekend. Penny's in California. My attorney only calls, never visits. I open the door to find a young woman standing there, early 30s, professional clothes, nervous smile. Mrs. Whitmore, I'm DeAndrea Washington. I received one of your foundation scholarships 8 years ago. I was a single mother working 2 jobs and trying to get my nursing degree. Your scholarship made it possible for me to finish school. My heart swells. Please come in. She sits on my couch and tells me her story. How she was 19 with a baby and no options. How she'd almost given up on her dreams of becoming a nurse. How the scholarship gave her hope when she had none. I'm a nurse practitioner now, DeAndrea says. I work at a community health clinic. I help people who can't afford regular doctors. People like I used to be. And I wanted to come here and say thank you. Your foundation changed my life. You changed your life, I tell her. The foundation just opened a door. You walked through it. I also wanted to tell you that I started a scholarship fund of my own, she continues. It's small, nothing like yours, but every year I help one single mother get through nursing school because of what you did for me. After she leaves, I sit in my apartment and cry. Good tears, grateful tears, tears that taste like purpose and meaning and legacy. This is what wealth looks like. Not mansions or diamonds or designer clothes. This. A young woman who received help and now helps others. A ripple that keeps spreading. A choice that keeps echoing through generations. My phone rings. It's Marcus. Mom, guess what? I got offered a position at the university, not just teaching, running a program for adult learners, students who need second chances, students like my students now, but on a bigger scale. They want me to start in January. Marcus, that's incredible. It's because of you. Because you taught me what education can do, how it can transform lives. I want to spend the rest of my career giving people the chances they deserve. Your father would be so proud. I hope so. I'm trying, Mom, every day. I'm trying to be the man he was. You are. You already are. That evening, I walk through my neighborhood as the sun sets. I pass the community center where I volunteer, the school where I read to kids every Tuesday, the small restaurant where I'm a regular and the owner knows my order by heart. These are my people. This is my world. Simple, quiet, real. I think about Vivian and Richard in federal prison, about the empire they built on lies and manipulation, about the desperation that drove them to trap their own family. I don't hate them. I just pity them because they spent their whole lives chasing something that was never real. Status, image, the appearance of wealth without the substance of character. They had everything and nothing at the same time. I chose differently. Gregory and I built something real, something that lasted. And when he died, I protected that legacy by choosing truth over comfort, by testing not just my son, but myself. 15 years of invisibility taught me that the richest life is the one lived with integrity, that real power comes from patience, that justice isn't revenge, it's truth finally surfacing after years of careful cultivation. I get back to my apartment as the stars come out. Make tea, sit by my window, and watch the world settle into evening. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and keep living this life, the one I chose, the one I built, the one that matters. But tonight, I'm just grateful for tests that teach us, for children who find their way home, for second chances and hard lessons and the quiet power of never giving up on the people we love. This is my story, the story of a woman who had everything, lost her son to greed and status, and found him again through patience and truth. It's not a story about revenge, it's a story about redemption, about the long, slow work of justice, about believing that people can change if someone loves them enough to wait. If you're watching this and you've lost someone to materialism or status, or the shallow values of a broken world, don't give up. Keep being the person of integrity. Keep living your values. Keep showing up with truth and patience and love. They might not come back, But you'll know you tried. You'll know you stayed true to yourself. And sometimes that has to be enough. But sometimes, just sometimes, they find their way home. And when they do, you'll be there waiting. Not with judgment, not with, I told you so, but with open arms and open heart and the quiet strength of someone who never stopped believing in second chances. That's real wealth. That's real power. That's the legacy worth leaving. Now, if stories like this one move you, stories about justice, redemption, and the power of staying true to yourself, I want to invite you to join our exclusive membership community. You'll get early access to new stories before anyone else sees them, behind the scenes content about how these narratives come together, and exclusive episodes you won't find anywhere else. Plus, you'll have the chance to suggest future stories you want to hear. This isn't just about watching content, it's about joining a movement of people who believe character matters more than status and truth matters more than comfort. Your membership helps us keep telling these powerful stories that inspire and uplift. To anyone out there facing betrayal, dealing with family who's lost their way, or struggling to maintain your integrity in a world that values all the wrong things, you are not alone. Your quiet strength matters, your patience matters, the values you hold when nobody's watching matter more than anything money can buy. Keep going, keep believing, keep choosing truth. The people worth having in your life will find their way back, and if they don't, you'll still be standing strong knowing you never compromised who you are. If this story touched you, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the next powerful story that might change your perspective or inspire your journey. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Let's build a community where we lift each other up and remind each other what really matters in this life. Thank you for being here with me. Until next time, remember, never underestimate the quiet ones. We might just be the most powerful people in the room,